Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for lily-livered. As in, what happens when a DM is too lily-livered to stand up to the problem player? Nothing good, I can assure you of that. But don't just take my word for it. The second story deals with that exact subject. The first story is one where the entire party, with one exception, are jerks. And that doesn't work out so well either. So sit back and relax as you hear these two titillating tales of terror. Sorry, I'm going through an alliteration phase right now. So, to start off this short little story with some context, we are playing through Curse of Strahd. Why is it always Curse of Strahd? With rules as written. The party consists of a ranger, myself, a rogue, a warlock, a druid, and a wizard. All this happened about 2 weeks ago. The campaign is every other week, so we are playing this week. I had joined in this campaign a bit after it started and was introduced to the party by climbing through one of the windows in Strahd's castle. We said our hellos and what have you and continued journeying through the castle. Flash forward to the following session. We had made our way to a catacombs area where two coffins were behind a magical barrier type thing. Wizard ends up misty stepping past the barrier to loot the coffins, which angers Strahd, who was watching us through a magical eye thing, and he appears right in front of us with intent to maim the wizard. We, being low-leveled, don't try to fight him and let him pass. The wizard told us to do this because they supposedly had a plan. This leads to a problem scenario. Warlock noticed a bunch of unopened coffins and decides to open one, which happens to have a banshee. Both myself and Warlock were in range of the whale, and only I failed the saving throw, so I go down. A couple of turns, around 10-ish, of me asking for help go by, and they refuse to heal me or even help me. So I've been unable to do anything despite two players having healing spells in their repertoires. Their reason being that their characters didn't know my character for that long, so obviously they wouldn't help him. Finally, after combat ends and everyone is all gathered up, minus one wizard who Strahd absolutely demolished, R.I.P. homie, I finally think, oh, surely I'll be helped up. I can drink my potion that way. Nope. They looted my unconscious body and steal and drink my one healing potion, add along with half my gold and my fancy bow I had just gotten before they dragging my character with them over to an area to have a discussion with Strahd. The DM, I guess, felt bad at this point, so they have an NPC show up, zombie butler thing, and splash a minor healing potion on me, healing me up to 3 hit points. Finally, I could do stuff. Yippee! I notice, in character, that Strahd is in front of us and say a quick little line asking who the flashy fellow in front of us was. The druid proceeds to wild shape into a spider and bites me, knocking me out yet again before I could even do anything. I then admittedly vocally lash out saying how it's stupid that I haven't been able to do anything for nearly 2 hours, only for the warlock to say, "It's just a game. Don't get all upset about it." Keep in mind, they were holding half my gold. The DM then ends the session there and says we long rest before I storm out. I feel I got a little too heated, but at the same time, I didn't like having my abilities to do anything taken away just for speaking. To clarify, I'm not mad about the banshee part. I was also thinking of looting around there, so that part doesn't bother me. It was everything afterwards that upset me. Hold on. The party left OP down for 10 rounds, stole his gold, bow, and healing potion, then, it gets better. Then after OP is finally brought back up, the druid initiates PvP, OP has no choice in the matter, and gets knocked out again. After all that, the warlock has the chutzpah to say, "It's just a game. Don't get upset about it." Hey, how about this, warlock? It's just a game. Don't be a dick. This is ridiculous. I get annoyed when a round goes by that I don't get picked up, much less 10. Plus, and the nerd in me just has to point this out, none of the whole, "we don't know you, so we won't res you," makes any kind of sense. You're in a fight that lasts 10 plus rounds. Seems like an all hands on deck situation to me. OP, I hate to say this, but if this is the way you're going to get treated, you should probably try to find a new group. This one doesn't seem right for you. Or anyone, really. Like most of the time when I look at these stories, I can kind of see the opposite point of view, but unless OP straight up lied, there is no other side to this. But what do you think? I'd love to hear your take on this one. Are you as annoyed by this as I am? I mean, I wasn't even in the situation and it still annoys me. Alright, let's move on. But first, a word from Scorch Basin Kickstarter. By now, I'm sure you've heard of the hottest new setting out there, Scorched Basin. And I'm not talking temperature hot, though it is that too. I mean, it is a desert after all. But no, I mean hot as in a really cool add-on for any TTRPG game. That's the beauty of the Basin. It fits into any tabletop role-playing game you can imagine. Let's talk about some of the highlights. Scorch Basin. It's an incredible new setting that includes everything you need to make a remarkable, immersive campaign. Whether you want to use it as a pit stop or for the entire setting of your campaign, look no further. It has what you need, including a history and lore chapter with a detailed timeline of events leading to present-day Scorch Basin, 5 unique factions, each with their own dedicated chapter, multiple new player options tied to each faction, of course you get the Scorch Basin full map, and 5 battle maps. For key, wait a second, 5? No, 15. That's right, 15 battle maps for 5 key locations, including 2 cities. Printable 3D models, 2 Mad Max style vehicles, and 3 tribe NPCs. Original artwork tailored to the adjacent content, custom art style for each of the 5 different tribes, 7 different art styles in total, all from one artist. A variety of pre-built land vehicles, known in Scorch Basin as bashers, for you to experience vehicular mayhem. Loads of indigenous flora and fauna for your players to discover, possibly at their own peril. You know, just to name a few. Now all of this would be amazing enough and totally worth looking into, but it's the attention to details and extras I like. For example, it has 3 new fantasy languages and 1 is based on American Sign Language. How cool is that? If you want to taste the Basin, and honestly, who doesn't? It includes 20 plus tribe-themed recipes from a world-class chef. Recipes you can make and serve at your table. Let's see Straw do that! Actually, on second thought, I don't think I need 10 ways to make blood pudding. All of this is great, but I haven't even mentioned the best parts yet. First, you're not going to see ads on Google, Meta, or any of those billion-dollar corporations. They do 100% of their advertising through the community by reaching out to creators such as myself, and I think that's pretty freaking awesome. Finally, they put their money where their mouths are. They don't just talk the talk. They have involved over 100 TTRPG creators to contribute voiceovers for this project, and I am proud to be one of them. Check it out. As of this writing, they are well on their way to their second stretch goal, and the campaign runs till October 9th. Kickstarter link is in the video description. You will not be sorry. Man, that Scorch Basin looks good. But let's move on to the next story. We only got 7 sessions into a game of 8 people, including the GM. I knew 4 of the players and the GM already. The other 3 were the GM's cousin, the cousin's girlfriend, and his friend. The cousin was your stereotypical massive main character syndrome edgelord. He was playing a chaotic good warlock, 100% chaotic evil, and a neutral to good aligned party. Would constantly try to make everything about him, fight every NPC we met, argue with the GM about the rules, and sulk like a child if he failed a roll. He once failed a stealth roll with a nat 1 and screamed it was bullshit, knocked over his chair, and left the table for 10 minutes. It was a very peaceful 10 minutes. I'm sure you know the type. The 4 players I knew already and we were all of the same opinion on Warlock, talked about it with the GM and he said he would speak to him. This was end of session 4. Before session 5 began, me and another player asked GM how the talk went. He shrugged and simply said, "He said it's what his character would do." I said, "What about the above the table arguing and sulking that is out of character?" He just shrugged again and we went to play. At the end of the session, one of the players said he would be stopping as he couldn't play at the table with Warlock. He said this in front of everyone. Warlock didn't give a crap. In fact, he looked smug. But his girlfriend, who was new to D&D and had actually been an awesome player so far, started yelling about how she would fight this leaving player and how dare he insult her man. It was a lot. By session 6, we had started to delve into my character's story. As the most experienced player out of everyone, the GM had thought starting with my story would be a good way to show others who had all met with GM to discuss backstories, etc. in private session zeros. How it would go. Warlock would not stop complaining about how I was taking all the attention. I most definitely wasn't, and 2 players backed me up on that. And how my character was lame, a lawful neutral human male in his 40s, fighter, battlemaster, and story would be boring. During session 6, he friendly fired on every single player with some Eldritch Blasts, even reducing his friend to 0 as we had just been in combat and he knew he was low. At this point, all players except his girlfriend had just had enough. I spoke up about how he wasn't being a good team player and was met with, "Whatever, it's what my character would do." It's what my character would do. Whenever I hear this, I always retort, well, don't make such a douche nozzle of a character then. But I guess you lack imagination. The only character you can come up with is a version of yourself. And looking at Warlock, that is evident. Warlock's player was a giant turd sandwich, so of course his character was going to be the same turd sandwich turned up to 11. First time he initiated PvP, and way to go DM allowing this problem player to initiate PvP. DM must stand for doormat in this case. But the first time he started PvP, the rest of the characters should have ended him. I am halfway convinced Warlock's girlfriend is just a mannequin in low light, so it's hard to tell. But like they say, douches of a feather douche together, so I guess she could be real. Though not real smart. Session 7 rolled around. I was both excited as the story had been great, but dreading it because of Warlock. Myself and the others were really fighting to keep enjoying it. Well, there was a fantastic but sad plot twist for my character when he arrived back home to his farmstead to find his wife dead. No more than a day gone. An emotional moment ensued. Then, Warlock struck. He decided it would be hilarious to decapitate my character's wife and use her head as a puppet. So I told GM I attack him, and would be unleashing my full Battlemaster level 5 build into this Warlock, including all 4 superiority die, Action Surge, and bonus action Polearm Master. GM told me to roll to hit my first attack. Instantly, Warlock starts yelling, "You can't do that!" Another player says, "Why the hell not? You attacked us all last session." He starts shaking with anger. "It's not fair. You're attacking me personally." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You just desecrated my wife's corpse and used her as a puppet. Of course I'm going to attack you. It's what my character would do." Nice turnaround. He stormed out of the room, his girlfriend calling us all childish and going after him. GM just sighed and said, "We'd pick up again next week." His friend actually apologized on his behalf when I was leaving, which I thought was nice of him, but all in all, meaningless. 2 days later, I get a message from GM saying Warlock refused to play at the table if I was still there, so he thought it was best I left the game. I was baffled. I asked if he genuinely thought me leaving and not Warlock was the best idea. One player had already left because of him, and it was no secret me and the other 3, possibly even Warlock's friend, had been struggling to stay and only had because GM was our friend and a great storyteller. If I went, I knew others would follow. He said, "It sucks, but he's family." So I said, "Fine, I won't play where I'm not wanted," screenshot the conversation, and sent it to the group chat, which included all players. Instantly, the others said they weren't interested in playing anymore. The last message I saw was Warlock saying, "Now we can actually play an interesting game." I have no idea if they continued or not. I haven't seen GM since. Not because of any animosity, but because life's very busy. But me and the 4 players I originally knew started another game. One picking up GMing and asked if I would like to continue my character's story as he really had been into it and everyone else agreed. So, that was my story. Maybe not much of a horror exactly, but if I went into detail of every little moment, it definitely would look like one. I don't know about you, but I would love to have more detail. You know, I would almost feel sorry for the DM, except he brought this on himself. Look, I get it. Family is family, but if your family is a focused, non-terminal, repeating douche canoe, or a class 5 full roaming asshat, then cut your losses. Nothing of value would be lost as opposed to what the DM has actually lost. You know, a good game with 5 friends. I don't get it. It makes you wonder if Cousin Warlock has some incriminating evidence against DM. But enough from me. What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts in comment form, or just tell me anything. If you have a story you'd like to see me talk about, I'd love to hear that as well. If you happen to like my stuff, a sub would be greatly appreciated, or a share. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and as always, play your character. Don't let your character play you.